our Christine Chan ended up with a medallion, finding it having been heavenly bestowed upon her nearly 2 decades ago.
What is your average day like? What's a day in the life of Sonichu like?
This body is literally immortal. It's living for thousands of years.
What happens to all of us when the dimensions merge? Does anything change for us? He wanted to know how you deal with the hate, and not just, blocking people, but how you deal with it mentally.
I would love to hear your perspective on that original Sonic design that came out. All right, so we'll get you out on this last question. It's one that we ask every single one of our guests. So here it is. Sonichu, what is your fursona? Hey, welcome to the Create Unknown. I am Kevin Lieber. This is the home of Make Something Mean Something. We are live on Discord with all of our great patrons, our $2 tots, our dumpster crew, our infantry, our illustrious baby gang. And as always, I'm here with Matthew Tabor, who will intro our guest.
We're really excited about this guest because we've tried for a couple months to get a hold of her, and we finally have. Every civilization has its defining epic hero, those personas who enthrall us with unique exploits and who traverse the singularly difficult problems of existence, and through whose struggles and triumphs we see a little bit of the best of ourselves. The Greeks had Achilles. The Greeks and the Romans had Aeneas. The Britons had King Arthur. Citizens of the internet have Mrs. Christine Weston Chandler. Christine is the creator of Sonichu, a hybrid species of electric hedgehog Pokemon inspired by Sonic the Hedgehog and Pikachu that started as a simple comic and has, over the last 13 years of public consciousness, expanded into an entire complex universe. And as we'll find out, even beyond, as Sonichu now exists in other dimensions. Christine has been known online as CWC, Christian, and Christian. And her own evolution is so packed full of details that one YouTube creator has a perpetual documentary series called Christian: A Comprehensive History, consisting of 40-minute episodes. Just 2 weeks ago, episode 44 in that series was released. Christine may be the most tracked figure on the internet, and that has led to over a decade of doxing, trolling, and harassment on a nearly unfathomable scale. She's faced shocking adversity, including unfortunate incidents at a GameStop, identity theft, the death of her father, Bob, and her house, and nearly all possessions being destroyed by fire. Yet, Christine has rebuilt, she continues to create, and she continues to evolve. Now, Christine, what would you like us to call you? Can you tell us name and gender so that we get it right through the rest of the episode?
Yes. You have the body of Christine Chandler, also known as Christian Sonichu here. But as y'all might have gotten the memo on Twitter more than 6 months ago, she and I, Sonichu, the prime of our species, literally swapped bodies. So you got me, Sonichu, who could speak on behalf of Mama and her memories. But yeah, essentially, just want to make that clear. You're talking to Sonichu, not Christian right now. But eventually, she will be able to be back with y'all very soon personally and be able to do these interviews herself. And anyway, so you can still use female pronouns heavily, all things considered. Just wanted to make that clear.
Okay, excellent. So can you tell us how Sonichu began? How did this happen for you? When did you start that? And how did the idea even come up?
Well, to Mama, from her perspective, she essentially discovered me about a few years in advance on March 2000 at Manchester High School while taking her computer graphics class and wanted a unique OC or original character. And, she she is a fan of Sonic and Pokemon, among other things. So yeah, and copyright characters, but we're not allowed on that CD cover. So she pulled me forward, and I have been insisting for a long time now. But in 2000, I was still a Pikachu because I was born in like April 1992, and just all that. And then the events of Station Square didn't happen until like February 2003. So along with everything and so forth. So Senpai hit me with the Super Sonic form and the Chaos Emerald energy, and everything happened. The Chaos Rainbow with me on one end and Rosie on the other, and a bunch of it has been chronicled by Mama in her books and everything. And then so much more has not yet been chronicled yet, but it will be. Just has to catch up, and her abilities are fully awakened and able. She'll be able to do this like within light speed time. She'll be able to stop time all around her and actually catch up on all this documenting and everything, and that'll be awesome. But right now, as it stands, she presently has around 14 or so books out, and then some with individual drawings and pieces and whatnot, and all the other nitbits and everything, so forth, yada yada yada.
And those are available to people, aren't they, online?
Yeah, mostly. We're working with our new allies and business people to get the books more publicly available. So that's the thing. Plus, also reproduction of replica medallions made from a mold of the OG one right here. Because
that is the OG. That's the OG medallion.
Well, not the very first one. That was made back in the early 2000s. Since that fell to the fate of Blanca Weiss. But this is the third one, and it's been sticking around, maintaining the history and everything, and constantly being upgraded, even to the point of having a megastone in it.
Wow!
What does the megastone do?
What's the megastone for?
We Sonichus and Roshus. We have a mega evolved form.
Okay, and the megastone helps the evolution.
Yeah, the temporary mega evolution.
What gave you the idea for the medallion? Was that something you had seen someplace else and you decided, I should make a Sonichu medallion? Because I see you're wearing one and then there's another one behind you right now. So
that's one a fan made and delivered to me. It's got a big old hunk of metal inside, and I surrounded that metal with mild magic to make it a bit more like, hey, it can hang around there. Mm-hmm. But just props to the people who made it.
So what was the origin of the medallion? How did you come up with that idea?
Well, this noggin literally has the eternal, all of its life it's had linked to literally our sister dimension of, as opposed to this one we're in right now. This is 1218, our dimension where the majority of us OCs and FCs, fictional characters, we reside in. This dimension is called C197. We are literally we stand and walk and talk right next to y'all, and yet y'all don't notice us, but except for the very creative and psychically able, they can see through the iron curtain as the dimensional divide and hear and talk to us, even from we're like right next to each other, or even from a great distance with a bit of telepathy. And Mama's had that all her life, and she was able to link with her self counterpart, our Christine Chan, as she's known nowadays, to differentiate from Chris Chan right here. Mm-hmm. And hang on. All right, Medallion. So anyway, so she knows that our Christine Chan ended up with a medallion, finding it having been heavenly bestowed upon her like nearly 2 decades ago from now. And so essentially it's like a magical piece that needs to be activated, and thus it was taken to that cave as chronicled in that book. I believe it's book 2, and thus its powers activated. And as Christine Chan was also literally half Sonichu, coming from the chaotic rainbow, it awakened her Sonichu form for the first time. So that's where Mama got the idea, literally from her self counterpart there. And this is literally half Sonichu, half human as well. So eventually, this thing's got to transform from this 6-foot tall human to a 3'5" tall, not counting the 7-inch ears, Sonichu form.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit more about the book process? Because I'm really interested in that. You've been working with other people to get your books published. How's that been going?
The publishing the book process. Yeah, for a while we've been printing through Lulu.com, but trolls and haters found a way to just go in and essentially just rat us out and be like, hey, this is a bunch of fan fiction, and Lulu was like, we don't do fan fiction, and then. But for a while, we were able to work around that with an alternate title and just keeping it to ourselves so it'd be privately printed. But obviously, we want to get the books publicly printed and available in bookstores and all that. So that's in the process, and we're making good progress there on that. But before that, Mama had hand-drawn every single page, colored and written, and then obviously scanned the pages, worked in Photoshop to change the text around, and obviously there's a few misspellings in there. I mean, shoot, she didn't have an editor.
It happens. There are always going to be the little imperfections on that kind of thing.
Yeah, and then for a limited time, she literally had these. She printed the pages out on the 8.5 by 11 paper sheets and just printed them out, cut them out, and stayed them together to make these little books. And obviously, that was a real limited run for first 4 or 5 or so of the books. They're definitely better off to be full-size graphic novels, typical.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what about the cards? I also saw that did you make cards?
Oh yeah, Mama's made homemade Pokemon cards featuring me and also a bunch of other Pokemon that she's discovered that literally are in the Pokedex entries that are well above 900. The Sonichu species takes up entry number 982, and the Roshius take up 979. Obviously, with the Rosies and the Vamprosas, and then the Sonnies and the Metonics in the numbers respectively from 978 to 983. Mm-hmm. They don't do separate numbers for megaforms. Obviously, it just goes within our numbers. So it's like, you want to find the Ultra Sonichu, which is the megaform, it's right there in 982. And of course,
go on.
So yeah, she made those cards, and she also made a few homemade Animal Crossing cards featuring us, just for the hell of it, and also a few Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And then more recently, before she and I buy swap, she made the cards of us and just a whole range of cards as a whole major expansion for the pre-existing game Twilight Sparkle's Secret Shipfic folder, which essentially is a card game with shipping ponies and other creatures and so forth. I mean, using pony is a neutral term essentially because it's based on the G4 My Little Pony, which is still going on for another 5 seasons.
Excellent. And you're pretty involved in the My Little Pony community, right?
Yeah, Mama's become a bit more and more involved. I mean, she's dipped her feet into being very involved with the Bronies and Pegasus sisters. She tried doing it with the anime conventions, but she just didn't feel like it was her niche at that point. I mean, eventually we might get her at a Sonic convention or two, or even a Transformers convention like BronyCon or something. But until then, we always have BronyCon, and then eventually after I go back in time, I can go back and we will have BabsCon 2020 back in last April.
What didn't you like about the Brony convention or the My Little Pony convention? Why was that not fun?
I'd say that was not fun. I mean, we had lots of fun at the Brony conventions.
Oh,
I mean, if there was anything that might have been awkward, it's just just the first time going to BronyCon and just not knowing what was going to happen at that time. But then everybody was just so kind and considerate and nice. I mean, the Brony community is really, really awesome.
Oh, really?
I mean, that's aside from the very few, 1 or 2 or so, perverts. I mean, shoot. They're just, among them, they're just people who don't know better how to socialize, or they just act on the wrong instincts and impulses. Mm-hmm. I mean, they can be taught better, obviously. And, I'm not going to judge them one way or the other, and Mama wouldn't either. But, I mean, they do wrong by everyone's judgment. I just got to stand back and let those pieces fall as they may. Mm. But yeah, there was also invasion of privacy only, invasion of personal space only once. And that's pretty minor nowadays.
Right. It's still unwelcome. Once is once too many, but it could be worse.
Yeah,
So
like
yeah.
all the online trolling and the haters and all those theoretical exes of the past. And that's a
Yes.
whole other kettle of fish right there.
Yes. I have a question. When, or how, rather, how did Mama realize that this whole situation was so much more complex than it seemed? How did Mama figure this out?
Mama has a very skillful perception that's pretty much default to hers, and it links with her instincts and her psychic senses and everything. So it's like, in one way, it can be complex, but yet it's comfortable. But if it's so complex, yet there's elements that would not be very good to her at that point, then she would back out. But on the fronts here on everything with BronyCon and everything, it was mostly good. So she jumped right in despite all the complexities and learned along the way. She's a pretty quick study. It's like having a sometimes slow mental handicap, but really it's a very, very fast processor, especially when it works with all the psychic powers and everything. It just goes like really fast, like speed, and it's just like so much hidden power and ability that it's just becoming slowly more and more and more tangible in this dimension.
Yeah. So,
and
I have some experience being known online and having a little bit of experience with trolls, but really nothing to the degree that you have. I mean, it's very famous. A lot of people know about your history with, and Matt mentioned it in the intro, just years and years of kind of being targeted and the doxing and the X's and everything. And how have you been able to handle that? How have you been able to bounce back over the years and still create online and still want to make more stuff online, having been subjected to that stuff over the years?
One moment and one day at a time. 1 moment, 1 day, 1 minute, 1 second, 1 hour, one whatever word have you. 1 moment at a time. And yes, I did use telekinesis to push this dice off my hardly moving fingers.
Oh, okay. Well, if anybody's listening, they just missed Sonichu had some dice and then was able to move the dice using only her mind.
And there it goes again.
So, Sonichu, I have a question about your life. What did you do before you swapped with Mama? What was your life like?
Well, it was really drastic after my life as a simple Pikachu for, 11 years? Nearly 11 years or so. But then after the collision with Sonic and everything, I had to pick myself up from scratch and figure myself out. But then faithfully, a week after, I made my way from Rhode Island to Virginia and met Rosie and Cal. And they were able to help me figure myself out now. And since Rosie was really having a tough time figuring herself out because she didn't know her electrical powers were not as much going out of her cheeks, but moreover coming out of her hands and her tail and even her wheels at that time. She just had to really figure herself out. She didn't even know she had Mach speed until that fade gym paddle in Quickville against Christine Chan. And yeah, it's just a whole bunch of surprises on the way. But yeah, after the events with the shopping mall and everything, getting all that settled, where hey, Cal and Christine Chan ended up discovering the Sonichu species and got famous in the Pokédex for all that. Because there's a whole difference between what you know in your video games as opposed to what really happens in C197 on how Pokédex entries get entered and everything. There's you can even enter blank fields and hey, Cal discovered Rosie Roshu after she got transformed from being a Raichu. She was born a male Pichu, and she was a male Raichu, and she had both parts post transformation into a Roschu form. So there's that.
Oh,
and then
Roschu had both genitalia. Roschu did after the transformation.
Yeah, but
okay.
the male part was really hurting her closer to 2008 because it was slowly becoming more and more disabled. So obviously that got removed. But then she was able to give birth to our three girls, Sarah, Christine, and Roberta, which that's an awesome thing. So we had our developmental adventures. We helped defend the city after coming back home, and Kale continued on her Pokemon journey as well. Rosie and I lived in and helped defend the city and everything, and got to know Magic-chan and everyone else. And Magic-chan really helped me a lot in my mental training and development, because I needed to know everything as much as possible to be pretty much the leader of our groups and the leader of our entire species. Since between Rosie and I, we are literally the primes of our species. And so we fought against like the likes of Marilyn Walsh and Count Graduan and the fleet of mind-controlled jerk cops, and even the robotic ones, since they ran out of zombies to work with. Go figure. But then along the way, we also, and then obviously we had to fight with the likes of Dr. Eggman and Giovanni and even Bowser, and among other villains. Even had a scruff or two with freaking Aiken, the psychic Russian billionaire, and his spiel. And then don't get me started on the idea guy. He had to bring in the freaking Nazis, and then Mama had to undo that with her reality stone in the class ring. And that was a major thing, really major. I don't want to go into that. It's just, woo, good grief. A whole bunch of good grief right there.
That's a lot of stuff. What intrigues me about it is, like you mentioned a few people. I think Mary Lee Walsh. She was affiliated with the college that you went to a long time ago. Is that the right person?
Yeah, but yes and no, because we're talking about the Mary Lee Walsh in C197, who is the Lair South counterpart to the Mary Lee Walsh here in 1218. They both were the deans of student services at their respective Piedmont, Virginia community colleges, but her counterpart in C197 was more magically inclined and met Count Graduan, and all that happened. And just, she separated. She ended up getting fired from the actual Piedmont, Virginia community college, and just so she went out on her own, though she ended up possessing everyone in the building at that time originally, but then eventually she finally got booted out of the building with Christine Chan's abilities and whatnot, ended up having to relocate. So there's that. Differences between your boring dimension here are considerably boring, with what you could consider a lack of magic, but there's still lots of magic in this dimension, versus the excessive amounts of magic in C197. Very much think further.
Can I back up 1 second about the My Little Pony Brony stuff? I'm very interested in. I don't know much about that scene. I've never watched this show before. I'd love if you could just expand upon a little bit what it is that you like about the show, what it is that the community does. Is it just a celebration of that program and you talk about the episodes, or what's it like to be part of the Brony and what did you say, Pegasisters community?
Yeah. Okay. Well, with the Brony community, it's pretty much a celebration. Well, not only of the show, but I mean, obviously that's the central thing where everybody who goes bonds over, whether it be G4 or even G1 and the other generations as well. And it's more about all the peoples and individuals who have come to realize and learn of the values of friendship and how magic it is and everything, and then some with their own individual perspectives and interpretations and whatnot. And then everybody being able to collaborate and get along as well as possible, even at points analyze. But I mean, pretty much MLP is definitely a very good chronologization. I mean, everything that happens in Equestria, which, by the way, it's essentially a separate planet from Earth and C197, obviously. You have, like, the ponies have their human counterparts in the Earth, like, Twilight Sparkle, Rainbow Dash, everybody. And Sunset Shimmer is in our is on our Earth, and Starlight Glimmer's back in Equestria and all that. I mean, so forth. Equestria Girls is canon with the My Little Pony G4 series. Don't let anybody else, even the content creator, tell you otherwise, because it is. Because the portal is there, and it goes to the very same Equestria that was chronicled in the series, and back and forth, and back and forth. Ta-da!
And the people listening on audio didn't see the dice.
It's just
back and forth.
I was just tossing it around at that time.
Oh, that was tossing. That was not telekinesis. That was just tossing it. Okay.
Yeah, this is yeah. Anyway,
how hard is it? Yeah, how hard is it to get people to understand this other dimension, that it even exists? Do they say it doesn't exist? What's it like to try to get people to see this?
It's varying levels. I mean, not only is it like, you name it, you name them, they exist over there in C197, unless they live in an alternate timeline where it's like, somewhere in the past or farther back or in the future tense or in a post-apocalyptic dimension. But yeah, everybody's there, like, us Sonchus and Roshus, all the other Pokemon, and just about every single Marvel superhero, DC superhero, Iron Man, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Iron Man, I already said Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and Hulk, and all of them, they're all there. And of course, Sonic himself, and all the Disney individuals as well, like Scrooge McDuck, Darkwing Duck, Chip and Dale, Goofy, Mickey Mouse, everybody, Kim Possible, so forth, so on. Even all the video game characters, as Mario, Luigi, Ratchet and Clank, and of course the CPU's a game industry, Neptune, Blonde, Noir, Vert, and it was amazing. And of course, Mama became the CPU of the Commodore's consoles after taking in the soul of the original CPU of the Commodore consoles, her name being Scarlett.
I see behind you, there's a Commodore 64 console behind you on a shelf, right?
Yeah, it's a secondary one that just pretty much using it for display purposes at this point. We have the original that Mama's had the entire time, where that Scarlett ended up retiring in her soul ended up retiring in after her body couldn't last much longer in 1994. It says, that was the fall of the Commodore consoles at that time, and everything. I dropped the cube, and so that's a whole lot of other things there. So yeah, Mom was a big Commodore fan. Then Mr. C, her father, her dad, ended up buying one as they were being pushed out. Then Mama enjoyed the video games on that thing. She got like bunches of floppy disks.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What is the average day? What is your average day like? Like, what do you do when you get up? What do you do, in the afternoon? What's a day in the life of Sonichu like?
Well, presently, all things considered, the most active times are definitely during the night while this body is asleep, because it ends up projecting and doing everything. Almost like sleepwalking, but it's just like, it teleports everywhere instead, rather. Similar to how, if you watch the show Star versus the Forces of Star versus the Forces of Evil, where Princess Starfly ends up going into her golden goddess type form, and she sleep flies everywhere for a little while, essentially like that. But during the daytime, this pretty much 24/7, 365, this brain is literally connected to the cosmos and all the other dimensions and timelines. So get lots of incoming and outgoing visions and vibrations and everything. So on, between local events and far events, between this world, the Earth, and C197, all other worlds, and so on and so forth.
Have you been sharing that?
This brain and body require lots of energy.
Are you streaming? Have you been making videos? What have you been doing on the content side? Have you been doing like YouTube streams or anything like that?
We don't do not too many YouTube streams. Not these days, but I mean lately, within the past few months, I've done the reaction videos to the TF2 Analysis Anarchy Red versus Blue series. The part 6 coming up soon, created by Dr. Wolf and a few of the other Brony and Pegasus and analysts of the community. And so there's that. And anyway, aside from the whole connected to everything and constant meditation every day, pretty much during the waking hours, I get up, I eat, of course, and a lot of times I go out and get some walking in, but obviously the brain work is killing a whole slew of energy. So, I mean, I still exercise, but it's like the brain is doing all the exercising for me, and I'm losing the weight that way. So it does work. The brain helps you lose weight. And then during the downtime lately, staying creative and keeping eyes on everything, because the way Mama drew and wrote everything, it's like she draws them as she sees them. So she drew me as she saw me, exactly. So can't blame her for not thinking that female rose shoes have the right shoe ears, because they don't. Only the male rose shoes have the right shoe ears. Go figure. I mean, and Rosie was destined to be female for long term. So there's that. Anyway, aside from that, we play random video games on the Nintendo Switch, and binge watch TV shows or watch YouTube videos or whatever, especially during this freaking pandemic. I mean, social distancing. I'm so sick of that. I'm done with this time. I want to go back. I want to get this by the C197. I want to get this thing able to transform it to a Sonichu form and everything, and go back in time and prevent this pandemic from ever happening, and then finally get this body back to Mama at BabsCon 2020. And that's when we'll be swapping back, because she's literally stuck in the limbo of time back on the April 10th, 2020. That millisecond of a moment. So sitting there, and it'll be like an near instant for her when I arrive. It'll be like, hey, finally arrived, and yeah, Mama, I'm here. So then at that moment, she and I swapped back. And then, awesome, I finally completed this thing for 6 months. For 6 months. And this job, being a goddess and everything, all these powers and everything, truly legit. Nobody would be able to have full comprehension of what goes on with this brain, right, this body, and all the overpowers within it. And it's just like, it's too much for me. And I had thought at one point I could do the job better than Mama or Christine Chan, and I was wrong. I admit that on Twitter, and so it's like, after I put now and after, when she and I swapped back, I repledged my loyalty and everything to do my best for Mama Chris Chan and everything. So
yeah,
solid evidence.
I have a question about, so Kevin asked about what your days were like. I have a question about something far in the future. Let's say it takes a while. It takes a while to make the swap. You're waiting on this happening. What happens? Because at some point, Mama's body will cease to exist. I mean, we all cease to exist at some point. What happens to Sonichu if that occurs? Hopefully it's, a long time from now. But what would happen in that scenario?
Yeah, that's not happening. This body is literally immortal. It's living for thousands of years.
Okay, so there's no concern that something could go wrong like that, or you live a natural life and it dies. We all do. That is just not a factor here.
Yeah, it's not a factor here because because the portals are opening. They continue to open. Everybody's going through to C197 and to 1218 and back and forth and everything. Everybody's getting to know it. The dimension merge is happening. The apex of it, and the end of it is the end of the dimension merge is going to happen and everything. And that's gonna be interesting. And around that time, I'll be back in C197 with this body, doing all that, and then using our skills and magicians and whatnot. I go back in time, prevent this pandemic. So that's very soon. That's very soon from now. I mean, Mama couldn't tell you the exact date of the dimension merge because it was above her head. So you give it so people can ask her, when's the dimension merge going to happen? When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? She had to give you an immediate guess at that moment, just based on what she could tell from the cosmos. I mean, one timeline or another, they did happen at that exact time and date, obviously. Mm-hmm. I mean, shoot. But this is fact. I mean, shoot. You're talking to Sonichu, not Christine.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen. Yeah. I got to get this body to Mama, and she and I are swapping back, obviously. It
Sounds
just
good
has
to me.
To happen.
Yeah. Well, the question that I think everybody who's listening live, and by the way, thank you to all the patrons who turned out for this. We actually filled up Discord. We're dragging people in as spaces become available because we've hit the limit. It's amazing. And thank you all for coming in and supporting us, supporting Christine, or Sonichu rather. Actually, you know what? Supporting both Sonichu and Mama, because we are talking about both today. So thank you for that. This is awesome. But the question that everybody has right now is when the dimensions merge, we know what happens to you? We know what happens to Sonichu and Mama. What happens to all of us when the dimensions merge? Does anything change for us?
Well, those of us who have survived, I mean, obviously numbers had to decrease from one side to the other, and I've mentioned this in my recent Twitter set where brought the whole sermon and update notes that I personally handwritten before that. So yeah, I mean, essentially, yeah, you've had your sacrifices over the past few months where in the millions they passed on, but they migrated from their bias here to their self counterparts in C197. So they've been getting the all access preview of C197 and enjoying life there up to this point. Then from there, we had like less than 500,000 people from C197 enter their respective bodies in 1218 and living their lives here. And it's just a basis on which body out of the two main self counterparts would be more longer surviving by fate of instance, and that's obviously determined by the higher up deities and so on and so forth. And but yeah, post dimension merge, as Mama's described, I mean, obviously Gotham City is going to fade into 1218, and as I've listed, we had a few buildings and landmarks come into C197 from 1218, like your Statue of Liberty and some of the temples in Saudi Arabia, just to name a couple of things. And obviously what was lost in China and here in 1218 is getting replaced by their counterpart bases and landmarks and whatnot from C197. And it's just a whole back and forth thing, and everything's been continuing on, and you could even see it within the news event, within the NBC News or Twitter or whatever you fancy for your news updates and whatnot. Something that just suddenly appears. No previous history of it that you initially knew about just suddenly appears, and that came from C197. That's an artifact. And just like to us, that came from 1218 into C197. That's an artifact from y'all there. So anyway, if you want to know what it's going to look like post merge, look at the last episode of season 4 of Star versus the Forces of Evil, and it would look something like that. But obviously, with all the OCs and FCs and everything, and the coexistence of everything in the merged dimension. I mean, shoot, and of course, Carolina High School. More people that originally were born in 1218 can have the opportunity to attend that, for just an example there.
I have some really, really simple questions. You're such a big gamer. You're obviously a huge fan of different TV shows and movies. I just like to get a sense of what your favorites are. What's your top favorite games of all time? Do you have a top 5?
Yeah. Well, Mama's favorite Sonic game of all time is Sonic CD, hands down. Classic in the animation, and it's just really, really good. Let's see, top favorite games. I mean, well, of course, she's a diehard Sonic fan, and of course, Pokemon games. But I guess that's outside of that. Yeah, she likes Gen 3 Pokemon, by the way. It includes the stars of Trico, Torchic, and Mudkip. She has a level 100 Blaziken, hyper trained and everything, named Inuyasha. Now, after having gone through the Battle Tower in the Galar region, 35 ribbons.
Wow.
I'm a Cubone man myself. I am definitely a Cubone man. But is there a favorite? Is there a favorite game on the Commodore 64 platform? Because going back to those days, what did you like playing on that?
She had the basic childhood and everything, but I think her favorite game to play on the old C64 from amongst those floppy disks that had multiple games on a single disc.
Yeah.
I guess one that she keeps trying and ends up playing on repeat from time to time is, I don't know, Pitfall.
Ah, that's a classic.
Yeah. So anyway, aside from that, she also really likes the Little Big Planet series and Mod Nation Racers, and of course Guitar Heroes and Rock Band. Just
sure.
She's pretty good. She's really good at that. And on the TV show front, the classic, once again show her anything Sonic, and even including the Sonic Boom TV series, despite the wrong arm color. It's still a good show anyway. But anyway, aside from that,
what's wrong with the arms? They changed to Sonic's arm color?
What? Yeah, it's been tan And it literally is tan. His arms has always been tan. When are they gonna finally get it right in these present media? That Sega.
What did they change it to? Blue?
They made his arms blue.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's just a whole different kettle of fish right there. But anyway, so aside from that, her other favorite shows include she likes Red Skelton and I Love Lucy, and we also find ourselves presently binging and re-binging Frasier. That's a good show. I mean, you've watched it and you tend to feel a little bit more smart. She also enjoyed the Care Bears and Sailor Moon. Speaking of something.
What about anime? You mentioned Inuyasha, Sailor Moon. Obviously, is anime. What are your top 5 anime?
Well, no particular order, but yeah, Sailor Moon, Inuyasha, Hyperdimension Neptunia. That's another one. And I guess another one I could mention that we recently binged that's pretty good is Steins Gate.
Oh, I really want to watch that. I heard that's great.
Oh yeah, and then well, I don't know if I can put in the top 5, put either of them in the top 5, but they're pretty fun. I mean, there's one that that's on Crunchyroll that's new, that just finished its first season, called Rent a Girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. I haven't heard of that.
And we've also watched Recovery of an MMO Junkie.
Oh, okay, I haven't heard of that one either. I've heard of the first few.
Those, they're fun. They're good. And, I also recently watched the anime Erased. Pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check these out. I haven't heard of I mean, I guess I'm not up on my recent anime as much as I should be. I should be watching more.
Well, if you want to catch up on a little bit of an introductory fun, watch the list of Watch Mojo. Like, their anime top 10 or top 20 lists, and then you get a whole bunch of recommendations that way.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
That's a good idea. Yeah,
We're going to transition for a second, or in a second, to just a few questions from our patrons who are joining us live. But before that, I'd love to get a sense of what's next for you, like in terms of your projects. I know that you mentioned that you're looking into getting your books published, which sounds like a really big project. What else is going on? What are you thinking about creating next? What are your goals?
Obviously, we're continuing the book series. It's still continuous, and never gonna reboot our series, never gonna reboot our lives because you're Buddhist. So it's like, that's the fun thing about C197. The development, the growing rate is varying depending on individual, and it's even more depending on those who chronicle us. If we typically would age around as normal, if not as slower age rate, but depending on the creator, we can either really age slow or age normal, or normal in your terms, or fast. But essentially, in C197, Lisa Simpson is an adult, and she's running for president against Herbert Garrison, who's Donald Trump's self-counterpart there.
Who's going to win?
From
Who do you think is going to win?
Lisa Simpson's going to win.
Lisa Simpson
is that what the polls say, or is that what you think?
Wait. Hold on. Lisa Simpson is Joe Biden, and Mr. Garrison is Donald Trump?
I'm not saying that Biden is Lisa's counterpart at all.
Oh, okay.
I see.
I mean, post-dimension merge anyway. She will be the president of the merged dimension of the United States post-merge anyway. So that's kind of that's a fade thing right there. That I shouldn't be giving too many spoilers, but I mean, Matt Groening already pretty much gave that spoiler. That future episode.
Mm-hmm.
There's that. That's one spoiler I can definitely indulge and letting y'all know about.
Can you give us another spoiler? It doesn't have to be a serious one. It can be anything. Like, what's something that, what's something that we would never expect that we're going to get after the merge? Is there anything cool?
Let me wrap it up a little bit. I'm not giving you a sponsor or anything, but thank you.
Cool. Is that good?
Yeah.
I wanted to try it.
Plastic, the reclosable tab. There's a plastic. I learned today there's a plastic thing underneath that literally keeps it sealed. So, when you close it, it closes that seal.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
Anyway, so I guess something
That
else.
was a can of Mountain Dew Gamer Fuel, by the way.
Yeah,
just
with the
for our
reclosable
listeners.
cap.
Yeah.
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 It's awesome.
Let me see. What else can I post-merge.
Is there anything that is too scary to tell us? Like, are there things that you know that you really don't want, that nobody else can know? Is there a burden of holding those things in?
Among which, yes, but in the end, everybody's gonna continue living in a good, healthy, coexistent type of lifestyle. Except now it'd be like between, regular normal people who previously were considerably regular by this dimension standards, but in the post-merge, they're gonna find better heightened abilities, especially amongst the content creators, authors, writers, otters, and authors. But you see my point. Everybody's gonna have increased abilities post merge.
Sure.
So yeah, there's that. There's that one. But also later on, we're gonna have like a mighty powerful force that comes from another galaxy that we're gonna end up having to face together to help defend this planet from. But that's a whole another kettle of fish right there that I'm not gonna go too much into. But hey,
it sounds like it's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, but yeah, hey, everybody will get to meet like Bruce Wayne, Clark Kent, Tony Stark, Captain America. They get inside Kim Possible, Mario. Everybody get to meet. Everybody can have a chance to cross paths, meet their favorite OCs and FCs, and even their own respective OCs, and even go to Equestria or another planet. It's on an ease and so forth. So. That's definitely
awesome.
Gonna be good.
Everybody in the chat is excited for that. Jeff says, yeah, he's looking forward to meeting them all. I mean, who wouldn't want to meet these people? Tom Videogre says that's amazing. Dojangles points out that friendship is magic, which it is. Yeah. So everybody's excited about this. We do have a couple questions from the patrons. One is from Isaac. Isaac wants to know your favorite My Little Pony episode. Is there a favorite?
The G4 episode. I'm not sure. Offhand, I could say episode 100, Slice of Life. But she also really likes the Dusk Before Dawn episode where Celestia and Luna end up going out on vacation. So there's that one. And oh, by the way, we do not talk about the season 9 finale because Hasbro just really took it too far. That's too far in the future. It's premature, especially since G4 literally has 5 more seasons. So that was just a whole premature thing they did, just telling everybody, hey, this is calling it the series finale because it's not. Again, 5 more seasons. Forget about G5. It's too soon to do G5 at all. And Mama said this like some time ago too, and I'm just forwarding that as well. So we don't talk about the episode 26 of season 9 of G4 at all. Mm-hmm. She's seen it once, and once is enough. That's it. All right? We don't talk about it around here. And I think
we have another. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Go on.
But yeah, aside from that, other episodes, she has a bunch of other fair episodes. But I could definitely tell you all that her favorite out of the main sits, tied at top is our Applejack and Rainbow Dash. But then she also likes Twilight Sparkle. And of the background ponies, she really likes Derpy. She likes DJ Ponthry and Octavia.
Okay. Oh, we have some more questions. There's one. Oh.
And she also has
keep going. It's okay.
Appreciation for Starlight Glimmer and Sunset Shimmer, despite their past flaws. All right, next question.
Okay. It's also a My Little Pony question. It's from Jeff. He wants to know if you have the My Little Pony Magic the Gathering cards. He does, and wants to know if you have them.
No, we don't.
No?
Since you brought up,
Are they?
We did get this recently, the Bushido figure.
Oh, sweet.
Can you describe that for our listeners who aren't watching live right now on Discord? What is a Bushido figure?
Oh, it's an artist rendered figure with so much detail, just a representation of human Rainbow Dash and, of course, Pony Rainbow Dash together. Obviously, that's not the right scaling. I mean, obviously, Pony Rainbow Dash be like up to here in respect of human height. So, but yeah, Rainbow Dash is just awe-inspiring and awesome, despite her flaws and everything. Oh, hey, look at this. She put it on its side even. Looks like she's flying like a superhero.
Yeah, looks like Superman.
That's great. Oh, that's great. So the next one is, let's see. Mr. McCons asks, just how are things going for Mama at home? Is health good? Just how is Mama's life?
Well, life is fair and good for, Mama, for this body and everything. As good as it gets. And we're talking and we're doing good with Magic Chan, Rosie, and everyone else here. This temple is very well protected. You enter this yard, you're gonna really feel the magic. You're gonna feel the psychic powers. It's like you're literally bridging into C197, though not totally, just at this present moment. And to alleviate a potential following question, Barbara's health, she's doing very good. She's healthy and well.
Oh, good.
And literally just today we took her out to an appointment with her cardiologist, and she checked out. She's doing very good.
Okay, good. And just for the fans here, Barbara is Mama's mama, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody wants to hear from Barbara. Everybody wants to see Barbara.
Oh, they do?
I can kind of relate since, Barb's a lot older, born in 41. Yeah,
that's a while ago.
I think she just turned 79 this year. Yeah, her birthday's the 1st of October.
Oh, okay. Well, we're only a few weeks off from that, so happy birthday to Barb. 79 is a while. That's great. When somebody asks you, this is another one from Jeff. It's a very good one. But if somebody asks you a basic question like, what do you do for a living? What do you do? How do you answer that? Because what you've described over the last hour is really complex. So what would you tell somebody who asked you that?
Well, pretty much presently, you may consider on the perspective of this dimension, unemployed, getting by on Social Security income because of the touch of autism in this noggin, and then also getting little bits of income from whatever sales we make with the books and whatever else,
Sure.
And especially with our new expansion we're making with the new store that's opening up soon with our the help of our new business allies and our friends and whatnot, so forth. It was a rough road with the because with a few months ago with the Quickville shopping online website we had missed a payment. That's why that missed a payment to the web host, and that's why that fell off.
That went down.
That's why that website fell off the map. And actually, for good reason, because considering present obligations, responsibilities, events, and everything, it's not exactly an easy to do job for one individual, tangible in this dimension alone. So outsourcing,
absolutely,
delegating.
We talk about that on so many of our episodes on how important it is for people to delegate and outsource and have people help them. You've got to have help,
and
or it's too hard.
Friendship is magic. Friendship
is magic, and it's not only magic, it also gets things done.
Yeah.
Friendship gets things done.
Yep.
So that's really awesome. There are two questions that go together, and so I want to ask those together. Lars from the first podcast, which is the number one enemy of the Create Unknown. The only way to understand how bad the first podcast is to listen to it for 5, 6, 7 years, every episode, and only then will you know how terrible they are. Lars is one of the co-hosts along with Doplex, and he asks, he makes a really good point that a lot of people in Mama's situation, in Sonichu's situation, would have given up on having a public presence on the internet a long time ago because of all the difficulty that you both went through. You've been a really prime target for trolling. So what drives you to continue to interact with people, to do things like this podcast? How do you keep going?
She's had to learn a lot. Obviously, these faded falls and foibles that it made her feel disappointed and crestfallen for the most part. Eventually, obviously she realized that she couldn't stay that way forever, but then she finally found a way to pick herself back up, and then she started really counting her blessings every day and everything and so on and so forth. Follow with the events and listen to Magic Chan and so on and so forth. And she's been more self-confident. I mean, it's pretty much the problem with a lot of people these days. They don't have self-confidence. It's like, you know what? Hey, tough up, people. You got some self-confidence within you. Find your spark and zap it out.
I like it. And that goes a long way. A little bit of that goes a long way. And the second question on that was from James, and you pretty much just answered it. He wanted to know how you deal with the hate, and not just, blocking people, but how you deal with it mentally. And you just described that, a real positive attitude about it.
Well, there is an additional answer I can give in response to that question.
Okay.
I just essentially ignore the comments. And obviously, Mama definitely put it in her brain after one of her tia Coretzes told her to it. Just, saying, haters to the left. To the left!
We got just a couple more here. They're good. Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
There's another one that Mama ended up learning from Dr. Wolf that is also relevant in this case when he finds in a moment of emotional distress that feels like could overtake him. He finds a moment in his mind where he tells him, I was expecting you. I accept and I appreciate your presence and emotion. We're done here. There's the exit. So out goes the bad emotion.
Sounds good to me.
Obviously, look up that obvious one of his A Moment with Dr. Wolf videos, but I forgot exactly what he said. But yeah, he's very smart.
That's good advice.
I mean, even though his brain is mostly on numbers and number crunching and finances and all that, he's not a certified psychologist. He does pretty good.
Yeah, excellent. So this is. Let me see. I'm trying to order these so they make sense. Here's a quick one that goes back to the merge a little bit. Vladimir Lemon wants to know if he will be able to make OCs post merge. Will OCs be able to manifest?
Yes, they will, but there will be a variable where they will come up into existence in our merge dimensions, or they will end up existing in a nearby alternate timeline or alternate dimension, so on and so forth, or what the new default could end up being from that. Because when you create an OC or FC, they typically start off at C197 until should time come when they are assigned to be in a different place in time or a different dimension that's different from this one. Like even Steven Universe and the Crystal Gems, they exist in an alternate timeline where World War II never happened. But there's still a portal to get there. There's still a portal to get there from C197. So yeah, people would go through that portal and then go find Steven over there in that part of northeastern United States. I forget what state though. It's not Jersey. I know it's nearby though.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So let me see. We have a couple little questions, and then Kevin's got one for you. Monsieur Chinchilla asks about the things behind you, and you've got a lot of great stuff behind you, on the wall. You've got such a good collection. And before the fire, you had an epic collection of just so many things, so many different things, from Lego to toys to, it was fantastic. Looking at your old videos and seeing, it was like an incredible museum. You've got a great collection now. What's the most prized possession in your room?
In this room?
Yeah.
I'd have to say our arrangement of magic and healing stones. Like, for example, got an arrangement, we have these chunks of amethyst that make up like a portal of arrangements around here. That's going to fall in a minute. We also have this little Syrah stone, which is a bit of transformational quartz that has soul inside it. I gotta do this thing now, and here we go. Things are falling. I'll fix that later. Yeah. But we have the majority of our smaller magic healing stones in this pouch. And it's a replica of
that's a nice
from one of the Harry Potter movies that Hermione had.
Yeah. Oh, is that the sack that Hermione had where it held like everything of every size?
Yeah, among which, but you could say it pretty much does that. This thing really works. Just whoop, and
that's a big sack.
Yeah. A bunch of healing stones, a lot of them, and this one pouch, which also has this little pin on it from GE that was Mr. C's. It's literally a little bit of
nice.
carat. It's literally a bit of 10 or 14 karat gold. I'm not exactly sure how much, but that's there. Gold is also a
and that's for the people listening.
metal.
That's the General Electric logo, the classic GE logo. It's very cool. Yeah, that looks great. Yeah, so you got a lot of healing stones then. So out of everything, if you had to pick up one thing and run for your life, you would grab the healing stones and go?
I would like to say yes to that, but I gotta feel like I'm gonna need the phone at some point.
Oh, you got to have your phone.
Good call.
You got to have your phone.
Good call on the phone. Yeah. You can't get the internet on the stones.
Yeah. And really quickly, Samu asked, does Mama do art commissions?
Yeah, but not presently at this time because we're concentrating on everything at the present moment with the present events, and especially getting this body and me back into C197 so we can do all of that.
Well, that's the priority.
Yeah.
Conrad.
Hedgehog priority one. Hedgehog priority one.
Hedgehog priority one.
Right.
I love it. You gotta set the agenda like that. Conrad and Tom Videoger had a joint question together. They wanted to know what Sonichu and Mama thought about the live-action Sonic movie.
Yeah, recent movie is really good.
You like that?
Obviously, the original character model for Sonic, by the way. Yeah, just to let y'all know, Sonic ended up being my mentor, and I ended up being his protege for a little while, and learning how to better manage my speed and abilities. And he even helped me master the homing attack and spin dash, among which, and I even learned how to break dance from him. So, but there's also a bit of shipping between him and I. So yeah, Sonic's my senpai. I'm so sorry because that was supposed to be the last question, but I have one that I wanted to ask a long time ago and I forgot earlier. At about 6 months ago, you changed your Twitter bio to, or Mama did rather, saying, Mrs. Christine W. Chandler. What happened? How did Mama become a Mrs.? Well, in March 2018, she married Magic-chan Sonichu and Christine Weston, and then a few months later in June, she ended up also marrying Sylvana Weston and the one and only Mewtwo that was literally cloned by Team Rocket, as shown in the one movie. Yeah, you got the one Mewtwo there that's been that way. Then every other Mewtwo is just the one that were essentially done from the Mew clone as chronicled in Pokemon Red and Blue and Green and Yellow. And every legendary and mythical, unless they're essentially mechanical like that, but for the majority of them, including Mewtwo, they can't reproduce.
Okay.
It's just a bit of a lower spawn rate, obviously.
And how many species total then are involved in this marriage?
Species. Well, half human, half Sonichu. You got a couple of Roschu and Sonichu and Mewtwo, so I guess that's
3.
4.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, I noticed when that change, was made in the bio, and I thought, there's got to be a story here. So congratulations on elevation to Mrs. for Mama. That's very cool.
And all the wedding rings are right here on this hand. That's a wedding ring. That's a wedding ring.
Oh,
both of them are white gold, and that's a wedding ring. And this one is a replica from Uncharted, Nathan Jack's ring, but that's another wedding ring.
Yeah, that's great. I wish the audio listeners who will hear this down the line could see that. But yeah, you've got an entire hand of rings spread across.
7 rings in hand.
7? Oh, it's both hands.
Across the land. Got a bunch of rings across the land, and even 3 on this wristband.
More rings.
It's beautiful stuff.
I actually have 2 questions. Sorry. I have one question that we end every episode with, but before we get to that, the Sonic movie just sparked something in my brain. I would love to hear your perspective on that original Sonic the Hedgehog design that came out that created such a backlash that they ended up changing it. They ended up remaking the movie because it looked so weird. What were your thoughts on that Sonic? Tell us about it.
Yeah, not with the face was just plain wrong. And there's just a few other aspects as well. And Mama did complain about the blue orange once again, but that felt minor. They decided to keep that in for the movie, but oh well, no harm, no foul. Sonic's arms are always going to be tan, obviously. But yeah, the original design was just no good. That's no good.
It was very scary.
Yeah, but since just to finish that on a quote from the Sonic movie that's actually been memorized. So, as I crashed the cold, dark waters of the Pacific, I realized a few things. A, I have no idea where I'm going. B, saltwater stings. And C, I shouldn't even be here right now, but I am. Why? Why? Because you shot me. You shot me. I'm wet. I'm cold. There's a fish on my head. And clearly I'm not going to be able to do this on my own.
That was excellent.
Yeah.
That's the best finisher we've ever had. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. All right, so we'll get you out on this last question. It's one that we ask every single one of our guests, and we always end our episodes with this.
Every guest.
So here it is. Sonichu, what is your fursona?
I think Mama's Sonichu form is her fursona, but as for me, since I'm already pretty much all furred up, I guess if I decide if I ever want to be a different species, I don't know, I guess maybe something like a cheetah or a cat. I don't know, maybe. I have a good relationship with Mama's cat.
Oh, what's Mama's cat's name?
She's got two cats that are inside, Baby and Sylvia. And I've been getting along well with Sylvia lately. She's a pretty good cat.
That's cool. We both have cats. My cat's name is Pig, and Pig is asleep on the floor over there.
The little piggo is sleeping on the floor. I bet you say that to all the ladies. My little pig is asleep on the floor.
It's classic Matt pickup line. Awesome. Well, listen, Sonichu, thank you so much. This was a big surprise for us. We feel very lucky that you were able to come on our show, as witnessed by the amount of people in the chat, the amount of responses that we got when we announced this episode. It was just really nothing but excitement. So this really was great for us. And thank you for taking the time to spend with us today.
Yeah, zapping it up to the extreme. Krakow.
All right, zap it up to the extreme. If you want to join us for live episodes in the future, just go to patreon.com/thecreateunknown. Join us there. But until next time, see you, Space Cowboys.
Thanks for listening to The Create Unknown. We'd like to extend a huge thank you and a congratulations to the listeners who made our Save the Babies drive a success. Many new $2 Tots and Dumpster Crew members, you have saved tiny little lives. A tremendous shout out to our elite baby gang. Trevsted, Boromir, Bot Dogs, Chinchilla, Cat, Isaac, Conrad, James Gallagher, Jeff Davis, Patrick Pister, Baseweight, and our newest sweet little babies, Dojangles and the Catboy Laterment. And thank you to our grizzled, battle-hardened child infantry, Jen Mafasanti, Kevin with an E. Menard, Mikhail Steinke, Risebread, Sean Malone, triple question mark, Monahim, and the newest recruit, Private First Class Ryan Kinder. Thank you to our producer and editor, Ben Webster, and our social media manager, Dan Yoshua. The Create Unknown is an Unknown Media production.